Speedway 400 on Fox is brought to you by UPS, official delivery company of NASCAR. We want to race the truck. People love the truck. Restart at lap 179, and what a knot of cars at the front of the pack behind Rusty Wallace.
And you see what I was talking about, Rusty's car. He is so fast down the straightaway. I mean, he is really moving down the straightaway. Just drove right under Mark and went on by him.
Of course, you got Bill Elliott in the 9 and his teammate Jeremy Mayfield in the 19, along with Dale Earnhardt Jr. with this group, trying to catch a caution to get that lap back.
Now, earlier when Dale Earnhardt Jr. had his spin, we'll pick up some audio.
Keep an eye on that A car. He's crazy loose up there in front of you. Next car up. Stop off.
And Junior was indeed loose. A single car spin.
And it just comes right out from under you. And off of that corner, it's a little bit of dip in that turn right there, and they'll come around on you in a heartbeat.
Plus, Darrell, I'm sure he was starting to overdrive his race car because he's about to go a lap down.
Now look what happens in all this to that orange Chevrolet of Tony Stewart. The left front fender gets all banged up because right behind Junior, you'll see Kyle Petty come into view, and then Stewart.
It's Tony right there.
Matt Yoakum.
Mike, they did cut away about a 2-inch by 11-inch section of sheet metal on that left front, and basically they put a huge tape patch on there to try to help that race car's damage. They're not going to know how severe the damage is aero-wise until he runs a few laps, but Tom Dean was on the wall. They were contemplating pitting again, but they just ran out of time under that caution, putting one more big piece of tape on the front.
If there's a corner that's critical on the front of a car, the left front here is critical because that's the corner you want to keep planted. That's the one that makes these cars turn through the corner. Anything distorted or a hole in it's going to hurt these cars turning.
So sometimes I have had trouble like that, Larry, and I was so loose that I couldn't drive my car. Then I'd tear up my fender, and all of a sudden I wasn't loose anymore.
Cooling that left front tire, too.
That's right.
All right, let's look at our pit stop graphic from that last round of pit stops. Let's see who the winners and the losers were. There you see Rusty Wallace in first, second. But look down here at Tony Stewart in 24th, out 32nd. Mark Martin was the real gainer on it, going from second to first.
Kurt Busch closing in on his Roush Racing teammate Mark Martin and going to the outside for second place.
You saw that race here last fall. These two guys kind of went at it. I think that Mark has definitely shared the wealth as far as how you get around marking him.
But I'm going to tell you what, Kurt Busch, he's got where it don't matter where we go. He's competitive. In fact, going all the way back to Martinsville in the fall, he has finished 6th or better in every race that he's been in.
And all of a sudden, look last week at Daytona, they throw the red flag, and he's sitting in second place.
As he closes in on our race leader, Rusty Wallace, here's Dick.
Well, Rob Fuller, who is the rear tire changer for Rusty Wallace, simply could not believe that they have twice been beaten by Mark Martin coming off pit road today. So he took a look at the pit map and figured out that Mark Martin has got an opening in front of his pit, not in his head, and they figured out that's why Mark is beating him off pit road. To Matty.
And Dick, with the trouble by Dale Earnhardt Jr., it also gives him an easy entrance into his pit stall. One comment Mark Martin told Ben Leslie's crew chief, he said, these guys are running a lot harder at the get-go of a run than I really want to run. He says, we are good, but we're not as good as we look. That's why they made the wedge adjustment and the air pressure adjustment on the last stop, trying to make that good race car great.
Yeah, Mark said earlier in the weekend he wanted his car to be good 20 or 30 laps
on pit road
into a run.
We hear he has a flat tire. He'll probably go at least 2 laps down. Remember, 45 miles an hour, and that can seem like it takes forever getting down this pit road under green.
Well, let's see how much time he actually loses, Larry. He came in right there in the thick of things. Let's see where he goes back out.
Now here comes Bobby Labonte down pit road. They're not entirely sure what's wrong. He has a vibration. They believe the problem is on the right side. Possible flat tire, maybe a tire that's loose. They just don't know. What a disappointment. Labonte had run with the leaders. He is now a lap down. Rusty Wallace has just flown on by him. They're going to change all 4 just to make sure. And this is going to make it very difficult for Bobby Labonte to win this race today.
He's leaving the pits there. He's just now going out, back out onto the back straightaway, and here comes Rusty to the line now. So he lost a lap and a half.
So it's Wallace, Busch, Martin, Burton, Ward Burton, Craven, McMurray. And then Dale Jarrett running in 7th.
Yeah, I was going to say Dale Jarrett qualified 9th here. We're riding on aboard with Dale Jarrett, but he slipped way back when the race started. But I think it's one of those cases they've been adjusting on that car. Now he's back in the top 10.
Yeah, Brad Parrott, I heard him say that the 38 car, Elliott Sadler came down here and tested. He said, you know, Dale didn't run that good here last fall. We're just going to put the 38 car set up under Dale's car today.
And what our guys from the pits are telling me, he's been loose all day long, and they've been slowly adjusting. And the reason you want to be careful in adjusting a loose race car, you know this racetrack will tighten up the more rubber that gets put down on it. There you see his interval in the top right corner. He was gaining just a little bit on our leader, Rusty Wallace.
Here's the thing that you can bet. Rusty might be sitting up there saying, I'm not going to run but so hard. But that cat behind him, he's driving it for all it's worth.
Kurt Busch looking low on Wallace once again in turn 3 for the lead.
He's after him with the gusto of a hungry hound, I can tell you that.
This may or may not allow Mark Martin to close up.
No, I think Mark's getting his money's worth right now. Nice seat, you know. Good place to watch a race from right here.
I tell you, Bobby Labonte, even though he has a little fresher tires than these guys, there he is right there. He's about a lap and a half behind the leader, but he's running about 3 or 4 tenths quicker than the leader. But the thing he needs cautions where maybe he can get that lap made up. There you see his Fox track right there at 125 miles an hour down in the middle of turn 3 and 4.
Now, one thing that will help him eventually is if it'll cycle all the way through, and these other guys have got to make green flag stops, he'll be able to stay out a little bit longer and have a better chance to get that lap back.
There you see just how much faster he is in the leader, and that's just 10 laps less on his tires. That just shows you how important tires are here. Fresh tires. There's a set of fresh tires.
Stickers.
Kurt Busch hounding Rusty Wallace for the lead in the Subway 400 on Fox. The Subway 400 on Fox is brought to you by Subway, where racing fans go for delicious fresh-made sandwiches. Subway, eat fresh. By Radio Shack, you've got questions, we've got answers. By Visa, the official card of NASCAR. And by Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse. Lowe's, improving home improvement. 202 laps, just past halfway, and the only change in the front 5 is Ricky Craven, who has moved past Ward Burton for 4th. Kurt Busch got to Rusty Wallace, but couldn't get through Rusty Wallace.
And Mark just sits there and is just patiently. Man's got more patience than Job. He just sits there and waits.
But right now, a little over 25 laps in this run, he's about a tenth or 2 quicker than those guys up there running 1st and 2nd, Rusty Wallace and Kurt Busch. He's just lurking.
Yes, he is.
But this is a typical Rockingham. We're just past the halfway, and even though we've had 5 cautions, 41 of the cars of the 43 that started this race are back in. John Andretti's back out there. The only 2 out is Todd Bodine and Derek Coe.
One of the fastest cars on the track is this one, Ricky Craven's Pontiac, which just moved up into 4th place.
It's like maybe they got the adjustment off a little bit. A few pit stops ago on this car. Now they've got it coming back their direction.
And you can think that that'd probably be normal, Larry. That's a new car, a new body style for them. Pontiac, they had Fords last year, going through a learning curve.
You look at our Fox tracks, the interval right there, he's chopping it down right now on our leader, Rusty Wallace, down to 4.5 seconds.
2 cars behind him, Dale Jarrett, running in 6th place, 5.5 seconds off the lead. And we picked up this exchange.
560, position 7, but it's 4 seconds. You're quicker than everybody. Another long run here, tire management.
Every time I ever heard that you're quicker than everybody, I said, well, how come I'm not catching them then?
Or how come they're getting smaller?
Yeah, how come we keep getting smaller? I'm not catching anybody.
Well, he's catching Ward Burton and passes Ward for 5th place. And right behind them lurks the 42 of Jamie McMurray, who's probably passed more cars than anybody today, coming out of the pack on each restart. He is 7th. And behind him, the man who won this race 1 year ago, Matt Kenseth, back to the lead. Kurt Busch is there.
I know Rusty's sitting there saying, kid, just calm down. Just take it easy. We got a long way to go yet. And Rusty's up there saying, ride a little bit. And the kid's saying, race, 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 race. Mark's sitting back there saying, side-by-side racing? I've known that to cause a problem.
Of course, Kurt Busch has not led yet in this race, so he'd like to lead a lap to get those 5 bonus points.
Don't look at me like that. Exactly what they're saying. I know what they're saying.
I believe you.
I know what both those guys are saying.
All right, well, if you're Rusty, Darrell, why not just let him go?
Because you haven't won a race in over a year.
Good reason.
And you switched to Dodge, and your boss, Roger Penske, standing overhead up here. I could go on and on.
And if you're Kurt Busch, you won 3 of the last 6 races, finished 2nd 1 week ago, and you want to lead the points leaving here.
That's right, and he's doing it. He's working old Rusty over.
He still has not led a lap. Rusty's been edging him at the start-finish line every lap over the last 5 laps.
Horsepower. Get that horsepower down that straightaway.
5 different leaders today. Wallace, Mark Martin, Ricky Craven, pole sitter Dave Blaney, and Kyle Petty led a lap under caution.
Look at that thing go down that straightaway. I mean, that pulls away from him.
There you see we have the graphic on Kurt Busch. Laps to the next pit stop, about 37 laps. And once again, as we talked about earlier, this is not for fuel. This is based on the tire strategy that these teams have talked about using today.
2nd at Daytona, runner-up in the points. And right now, he's moved to the point lead.
And I was talking about horsepower, and it just made me, I remember Tommy Turner that used to work over at Holman Moody did a lot of engine work for the Wood brothers through the years. Tommy's not doing real well right now, and I just wanted to give him a big high and cheer him up a little bit and let me know he's thinking about him.
But you know, Darrell, you talked about Rusty handling down the straightaway, and that's certainly not to take anything away from the chassis setup that Bill Wilburn and those guys. But I know as the Penske organization was looking at this change from the Ford to the Dodge, they were outweighing a lot of things there, you know, business decisions as well. But I know they really put it on the shoulders of the engine guys and said, hey, can you make as much power with these Dodge motors as you've been making with those Ford motors? It looked like they've accomplished it.
About 10.
Larry Wallace and that group over at Penske Jasper engines as we look at Dave Blaney in the Jasper car, the 77 car.
Dick Bergman with more on the pole sitter.
Hey, that pole sitter is moving forward. Blaney right now is running in the 8th position. The car is not perfect. It's a bit loose. He's solving that problem by backing off a little earlier and getting on the gas sooner. Kamati.
Well, Dick, let's update Matt Kenseth in the 17. He led 152 laps last year on the way to his win, but when he hit pit road after the last caution on lap 173, they took a ½ a pound out of the right front, and he said, guys, I'm struggling. That adjustment made us just a little too loose. Jeannie.
Everyone else, Jeff Gordon missed out on track time due to weather. Crew chief Robbie Loomis said he was not concerned because his driver would find a groove in the track that would work for him. We can rule one thing out. Jeff Gordon is having problems running on the bottom. He says, quote, the car is pushing like crazy.
You know, Larry, this and Mike, this is a classic slow down and go faster racetrack. You let off the gas, you start letting off the gas real early, and all of a sudden your lap times improve.
Look at Elliott Sadler's day. He has been as high as 3rd, and he's been as low as 40th.
But again, that's not because I think of the car's performance. It's because they were making those pit stops trying to repair that front end, that grill work. That's one reason he was down so low in the running order.
Rusty Wallace continues to hold off the advances of Kurt Busch. Mark Martin, Ricky Craven, and Dale Jarrett are your top 5 in the Subway 400.